Alright, yo peeps, what's up? So I said that I would come back with a video today and go over the changes I made in my deck. So the changes are pretty simple in my opinion. They're not major. Two planeswalkers that I did remove from the deck are, let's see, get this up on screen real quick. I removed the Liliana off the Veil, which is, 3 converted mana cost. The reason why she was in the deck is she can ultimate faster than all the other planeswalkers, but so can Jace here. The only difference is Jace's ultimate with infinite, copies of himself and infinite tokens. That wins the game. With Liliana, it was kind of underwhelming because unless I was going against an opponent who's playing something like, Tron or something, it just didn't really have as much impact on the game. And Razorek. The reason for Razorek is he's a fun planeswalker to play. I would absolutely love to, keep him in the deck and everything. But he's just too, how you put it, underwhelming. The reason why I say that is Razorek can come out ultimate and you get 0 out of 5 turns. Which means what? You can potentially still lose the game. And if he comes in and gets you 5 extra turns, you could potentially still lose the game because he doesn't do enough. So, One Shot had suggested removing Liliana and Razorek, which in previous versions of this deck I have done those things. Granted though, when I did try it back then, the deck was not nearly as consistent as it is now. So I went ahead, took his advice and changed those two planeswalkers out. But then surprisingly, he actually had some ideas of planeswalkers to put in. Now, Sandra Torch of Defiance, that is a planeswalker I had in the deck previously. But like I said earlier, the deck wasn't nearly as consistent then, so she was not being utilized to her full potential. And he also suggested I put in another Ugin Spirit Dragon. Now, Ugin for me was it's a in between. It's hard to say yes to Ugin 100% of the time, but it's also hard not to say yes to Ugin 100% of the time. Like, it's one of those planeswalkers that if you can get turn 4 Tron and a land out, you have 8 mana. Ugin is almost always a good card to play there. Unless you're like me and you play a bunch of colored spells or colored permanents and you're trying to keep them on the battlefield. So in Ugin's case, he's absolutely great for me and absolutely bad for me, but bad for me and my opponent. So still makes him a fairly decent planeswalker, and his ultimate ability of drawing 7 cards, gaining 7 life, putting up to 7 permanents in play is awesome. Not to mention, if you end up doing the ability and then hitting another Ugin the Spirit Dragon, you could do it all over again, so you could potentially put 14 permanents out into play. So yeah, pretty amazing planeswalker. So those are the 2 changes that I went ahead and made. Now, I'm going to show you all how those changes have been working out for me so far. So bear with me 1 second while I go ahead and start this game up. Okay, so this is game number 1 of 2 against this opponent. And I'm kind of just going to go through this fast because my opponent's not really playing a deck that's unknown to most people who play Magic the Gathering, especially Modern. So, of course here, aggressively mulliganing like usual. Then I get a hand that looks fairly decent, and I go ahead and keep. The reason why I kept the expedition map is I did not know what my opponent was playing yet, and I wanted to have the option of being able to fetch another piece of Tron. But then as soon as I saw Rift Vault got suspended, I was like, oh no, my opponent's playing Burn. So for me here, playing Oath of Nissa, even though I took the 2 damage from the Great Reveler, it's still a win because I need to set my mana for my Planeswalkers. So go ahead and put a mine out. Especially, since I'm not worrying about getting Tron set up here. My last piece out, and then I went ahead and played Golos Tireless Pilgrim. And of course y'all can guess the land that fetches a tower. Like, on one hand I would want to get a Blast Zone or something, but it's just not nearly as impactful. And here I could pretty much guess that my opponent was gonna kill my Golos because I blocked. But I am okay with that. So yeah, of course my opponent kills it and deals some more damage to me again. Now here my opponent has 1 card in their hand. And I went ahead and, cracked my sphere for green mana. And this is about the point when I realized, okay, I can just go ahead and fetch a land and still have enough mana to cast Karn Liberated and exile a card from his hand, which at this point he only has 1 card in hand. So, to some extent, yes, I know I was living on a hope and a dream there, but if top decking a burn spell is what wins them the game, I'm okay with that. Because at least that means that I'm moderately quick enough to where I can get my opponent to use everything that they have. Especially since they're playing, Burn, which is a super focused deck. So in this case, the card I exiled was a Lightning Bolt. So if I didn't get rid of the card out of his hand, I would have absolutely lost the game. And my opponent draws a card. Then I guess he drew a land at some point. Yeah. So he either got Rift Bolt or the land first. I'm not sure which one. But then he casted Rift Bolt. So I have 3 life, and then on my opponent's turn I'm dead. Lucky for me though, I ended up drawing a Tameo Field Research, which means that I can ultimate it this turn. And let's take a look at how much mana I had again. I had 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 mana on the battlefield. So initially my goal anyways was to just play Doubling Season and Ugin the Spirit Dragon, which would use up all of my mana, but I am okay with that. But since I drew Tameo instead, I was like, oh shoot, I'll just go ahead and use Tameo. So here I went ahead and used Tameo, ultimated Tameo of course, ended up, drawing Ugin the Ineffable in 2 lands. And then as soon as I was able to resolve Ugin the Spirit Dragon's ability, I was pretty sure that I had the game won because I was going to gain more life, and my opponent, they struggle against life gain type decks. And of course here I get to put 7 permanents into play. The one permanent that I did not want to put into play though was Emrakul. The reason why is, if I do not put Emrakul into play, I can just cast Emrakul for free and then get an extra turn after that. Which is a win because, I'd be able to win the game. If that's what I wanted to do. But since I had Samut tested out, I was just going to pop Samut for her ultimate ability, search my library for 2 more Planeswalkers and put them into play. And those 2 Planeswalkers would have been Jace Cunning Castaway and Nicol Bolas Dragon God. And then of course you can imagine from there I would just pretty much win the game. Or do some other crazy combo or something. Hey, who knows? I could have went ahead and used this guy's deck and used his burn spells to kill him with it. See how he likes it. But yeah, that was game 1 against this guy. Go ahead and load up game number 2. And by the way, like you all can imagine, going against the burn deck, I don't really have any cards to sideboard. But I did change one card on my sideboard, just because I realized it was not being utilized to its full potential. And that card was Wormcoil Engine. I decided to take Wormcoil Engine out of my sideboard and put in Elixir of Mortality, because Elixir of Mortality I can just always use the same turn that I play Karn Great Creator. And like you all saw here, I'm mulliganed down to 3 cards in my opening hand, which lucky for me was Tron. So I'm pretty happy about that. Right off the bat, my opponent comes down swinging with a Monastery Swiftspear. And, you know, casting Boros Charm, dealing damage. Go ahead and play my Chromatic Star here. Yeah, of course, get a green mana out of it. Play my Oath of Nissa. And then I ended up finding Karn Great Creator here. And then since I knew I had Tron, I was like, okay, yes, next turn I am going to gain 5 life. And hopefully that 5 life keeps me alive long enough for me to potentially come back in this game. Now, if you look, my opponent's up to 23 life. I am down to 4 life at this point. But my opponent also has only 2 cards in hand. So because they had only 2 cards in hand, once again, a super close game. But I decided to go ahead and get Elixir of Immortality, which, quite honestly, I did not expect to be getting value out of it so soon. But, hey, I'm very pleased with my changing out Wormcoil Engine. Because Wormcoil Engine, like right here, would be a turn too slow. And I would already be dead. So my opponent attacks me here and uses Lightning Bolt on Karn Great Creator. Then I end up getting a Blast Zone. Now, with the Blast Zone, I was not really sure what I should do here, because if I use Blast Zone to destroy my opponent's creature, it also destroys my Oath of Nissa. So I was pretty much taking it turn by turn. The main phases were the attack phase and the blocker phase. Because if my opponent had casted a spell and tried to use the spell to pump up Monastery Swiftspear, I would have had no choice but to blow up Blast Zone. But that did not happen, so I waited slowly. As soon as he played, or he or she played Eidolon of Great Revels, or maybe it's just Revel. Yeah, Eidolon of Great Revel. I was like, yep, I can kill that card. Let me uptick Blast Zone to 2 and kill that card. Then lucky for me, I ended up drawing Ugin the Spirit Dragon. So if I had blown up Blast Zone, I would not have had the mana to cast Ugin. But yes, like you all can imagine, here I went ahead and casted Ugin. Of course, I exiled everything. And now it's my opponent's turn, and it seems like my opponent is only drawing lands here. Now, I went ahead and misplayed here because Magic Online was being a little laggy. I double-clicked on Ugin to use his ability, and because I thought it didn't work, I tried to click on Ugin again. I ended up bolting Ugin pretty much, so I dealt 3 damage to my own Ugin. Like, who does that? But after that, since I have another Ugin in hand, I was like, there's no point in me holding it in hand, because if my opponent top decks a burn spell or something, he is gonna still be close to killing me. So went ahead here and played Ugin again, and this time I made sure to click lower and did 3 damage to my opponent, brought them down to 18. No, brought them down to 17 or 18 life? No, I mean I'm not sure. I think I brought him down to 18 life. Either ways, my opponent playing lands is really the only way they're losing life. Except for the one time I did 3 damage. Alright, let's keep going here. So then I upticked Ugin again next turn. And now I have 11 counters on Ugin, so I go ahead and ultimate Ugin and my opponent's scoops, because at this point I gain 7 more life, draw 7 cards, and I could put 7 permanents into play. I wonder if I can click the draw card option here. Yeah, if I click the draw card option, it does not show you what was going to be next in your deck. It would be pretty cool though if it did. Because who knows? I might have drawn 7 lands. But I guess the main reason why my opponent scooped is because I gained life. But yeah, this is how my first game went after making changes to my deck. Thanks to my man One Shot, for making the suggestion again. And, explaining some of his logic behind it. And yeah, I just wanted to make this video to show how the changes are working so far. And for sure, I'll be streaming later today in the, what is it? Mana Traders tournament or league. And I'll see how my deck keeps performing there. Hopefully, Ugin the Spirit Dragon definitely makes his impact. And we have some fun games. So if y'all would like to see some of that, y'all can check the video out on Twitch or check me out live streaming. But I will catch y'all over there. And I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you have any comments or feedback about, the changes I've made in the deck, and if you just want to see me make any changes to it or anything, just let me know. If anything else about these videos can be improved that y'all can think of right off the bat, I would appreciate the feedback. But I will catch you all next time, and hopefully y'all keep enjoying Magic Gathering, and keep enjoying this image of Nicol Bolas, because it's awesome. Like, I want to load up the video of him, but I'm not too sure about that. I'll think about it. Alright, later peeps.